guys. I had to do it like the YouTubers today. Hi, guys. You've tuned into Flavor Fix radio show on WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM, The Voice. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm your host, Samantha Starr, founder of Samantha Starr Events, where I bring people together through food, art, and culture. Journey with me every Monday as I bring you the latest on Milwaukee's culinary scene. Shout out to our listeners on the radio and on YouTube and on Facebook Live at WNOV 860. Make sure you like, comment, and share because we want to hear from you all. And remember, if you have anything that you want to share, an experience, or you want to ask a question, give us a call at 414-444-5250. Tonight, I'm joined by Jonna Moore of Brownstone Social Lounge and Chef Martin Mayana of Travioso Latin Fusion out in Waukesha. And I'm going to ask them to kick us off with some introductions. Chef Martin, you wanna
Want
kick
me
us
to
off,
start?
You're closer
or
to
Jonna?
her.
I'm closer. Hi, everybody. My name is Martin Magaña. I'm from Mexico City, and I moved here in 2002. Finding a journey as an accounting. So
Wow.
completely different than what I do right now. But
Hmm.
there was in 2002. Is trying to find a job as an accounting. The language was a little the barrier for me. So
Hmm.
even if I went to school for English in Mexico City, when I moved here, it was completely different. And start trying to find different jobs and start working. It's not a chef, it's not a dishwasher, but I was doing construction and I
Wow.
was doing landscaping, and from there, try to find something that kind of feel me,
Hmm.
something that I really want to do. My first job. So finally, I land on a restaurant that I can start as a dishwasher.
And
And
that's where most start.
yeah, and that was the most beautiful experiences because being a dishwasher can like have the vision of the whole entire restaurant and understanding from the bottom to how I can be able to develop the way that I was gonna try
Hmm.
to grow myself and learning the language at the same time and METC with the ESL program and all
Hmm.
this stuff. I was like, um, finally get into that, and I got my first shot as starting on the line when some of my coworkers come drunk in the restaurant
Oh.
and
Ooh.
pass out in the bathroom, and and from there, so it's like everybody was looking for him. What is this guy? It was Friday night. Everybody was like so worried about what we're gonna do now.
Hmm.
So somehow I couldn't communicate that with the manager in that time,
Hmm.
and I said I can do it. I've been watching this guy for months, and
Wow.
I think I can do it.
Hmm.
So he told me that I was gonna do dishes, and I was gonna be in the line. And that night went very well for me. The couple days later, so they hired another dishwasher,
Wow.
Wow.
and from there, so kind of like a learning. That restaurant was one of my things, kind of like a school, like a
Hmm.
cooking school for me.
Hmm.
Develop until I become a manager in there,
Hmm.
but not the way that I see the cooking right now. It's
Okay.
just like after that, so it's kind of like a on and off in different restaurants, like learning different techniques, diversity places. I work
Hmm.
in so many restaurants that I can be able to
Yeah.
understand and learn a lot of like that. But anything coming to 2011 when I moved to Madison.
Mm-hmm.
So I moved to Madison and I started working for very talented chefs out there, and like the under guidance from them. So I started developing the that culinary learning of like how I can be able to work farm to the table,
Hmm.
understanding more like flavors, understanding how I can be able to introduce some of that stuff, and after that, so I kind of like get like really excited and understanding that, so it's like how I can do something on my own, and I started using my background as coming from Mexico City, so I started introducing some ingredients like to
Hmm.
developing specials and some of the other stuff, and by the time that I know, I was like, kind of like a creating specials for the restaurant, moving forward to like taking advantage of the chef who was giving me the opportunity to do it. and I was really excited. And at
Mhm.
some point, I was like, I want to go back to Milwaukee. I
Yeah.
miss Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I've been living in Milwaukee since that I moved here, and I was like, moving back to Milwaukee, and I started working another like really nice restaurant in that time,
Mhm.
Roots.
Yep.
Um,
Mhm.
you know, the most beautiful view in Milwaukee, and I started
Brewers
working.
Hill.
Yeah, but the best part was I
Yeah.
was working with like so many talented chefs
Uh-huh.
too. So in that time, I was Paul and Lisa from Good Kind. I was like
Mhm.
Dan Jacobs from Den, Cole Airsill, the guy from Sorella,
Oh
Kyle
man,
Turner.
yeah, yeah.
So there was like, there was like this bunch of talent together, and I was just watching and like trying to learn everything
Mhm.
from what I could from them. And finally, I got my first shot as executive chef at Tess.
Yes.
um, from there, I was kind of like a, kind of worry about it because I was always working for under somebody else. And
Mhm.
like, and always like my worry was like every chef like goes in a new restaurant without experience is like year and a half and then go on.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I try to push myself into challenging myself every day. And I was the executive chef at Test for 12 years.
Oh,
Wow,
wow.
I didn't
I was
realize it was that long.
Yeah, I was like, a lot of people there's like, how do you do it? How you did like keep alive in that? But that was like, like learning and understanding all that stuff from everything that I was learning in Madison and Milwaukee and with all these
Mhm.
chefs, kind of introducing like, developing my own style, like,
Mhm.
like, and it's when everything the fusion started.
Yeah.
So it started like taking a little bit of some of the different techniques like French, Italian, Chinese, Asian, like anything that I could, and tweaking everything into Mexican food,
Mhm.
and become like really popular. So the restaurant, started becoming like a really really popular restaurant. And with the owner of Tess in 2018, I opened my first restaurant, Frida.
Yep.
So Frida, it was more like a soups and sandwiches, but at the same time, I was
In the
like,
Crossroads Collective.
yeah.
Yep.
So
Oh,
try
I remember that.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
try to develop like the fusion, so tweaking everything into Mexican food. Like a lot of people that come in for the tomato soup, and then give a little twist in there to making a Mexican and sandwiches and all that stuff. And the dream kind of like it went down when the pandemic hit,
Yeah.
the in 2020 or
Mhm.
2019, kind of like something in there.
Mhm.
um and it was kind of the like feeling that pressure of like we if we keep it open or how we're going to be developing. So we did a lot of to goes, we did a lot of carry out. We try
Mhm.
to like make it like anything that we could do. I mean, there was a very nice signs that we opened Frida. So it was a nice platform for me because I got a lot of like attention of the media on like because by being bilingual. So I was doing like a couple of things in Telemundo. I was doing some in CVA's 58, and then
Yeah.
you got all that attention, and like the Milwaukee Magazine wants to talk to you, and then
Mhm.
that was kind of nice to have that attention, and it started like moving forward in 2020. So I become like one of the 40 under 40.
Yeah.
uh, um, and that was like motivating more myself to
Mhm.
continue.
Mhm.
But at some point, that's when everything kind of like everybody probably ended. My head got really big, and kind of crash a little bit. Started like kind of feeling down. Closing Frida. Kind of about like leaving tests. So we started like
Mhm.
kind of like pushing myself as like, what are we going to do now?
Right.
So we have a group called Chef Latinos Wisconsin.
Yep.
So we got our chefs to try to showcase some of them, like because
Mhm.
that was
Mhm.
kind of like always like same people, same chefs, like always and all this stuff. And it's like we want to raise our hand. We're here, we're
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
in the dark, and like helping that. So we only not get only Latino chefs. We got a lot of chefs from diversity chefs. Like they
Mhm.
want to join us
Right.
and have that conversation and talking about like mental health,
Yeah.
like how everybody like feels like like drinking too much, like for the
Mhm.
longer hours. And that was kind of like a really nice space to kind of be able to create that
Are you all still convening?
a little bit, not
Okay.
like that time. So
Okay.
everybody kind of like got
Mhm.
and their own
Mhm.
like thing.
Yeah,
But that's how I met
that's a
my
great space though.
yeah.
Yeah.
That needs
Um,
to come back.
Yeah.
That should definitely come back.
Yeah.
and from that I was kind of like we start with my now business partner Arnie.
Mhm.
So we started developing troublemakers.
Yep.
So how troublemakers started, it was I was going to his kitchen when he was the executive sous chef at Good City,
Okay.
Mm.
and I was like, and I was in Frida, so I was like kind of like a travel a little bit on
Right.
Farwell.
Right.
I was going to his restaurant, so get in the kitchen or like sit at the bar, start drinking, and kind of like you know, like every time that I was walking in there, everybody was like, "Oh, here comes trouble," and
Get
yeah.
it?
At some point, I was like, "It's you know, we start talking more and more and more and more, and we start you know, doing the pop up dinners, and
Yeah.
then when we started doing the pop up dinners, so we were like going places that don't have kitchens,
Mhm.
and so we started like in Bayview, and we were so thankful for Adrian,
Mhm.
Sugar Maple.
Uh-huh.
So that was you know one of the first people that help us to like
Yep.
kind of develop that concept and understanding like the you know we need like a kind of space. So that was during the pandemic. So there was kind of like a small group, the people that we bring
Mhm.
in there. So there was like everything spaced out. I was like dinners for like 20 people, like 25 people.
Mm.
So really small people, but we were developing like 4 course meals with beer.
Mhm.
And that's what I was doing a test for those 12
Right.
years,
Right.
doing the food pairings with that,
Mhm.
you know, create that, or like to do what we're trying to do with troublemakers. At some point, we're gonna sit down again,
Mhm.
and it's like, so what if like everything shut down again? So how we can be
Right.
able to
How will you be able
Mhm.
to
to
adapt?
do
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
again? So
Mhm.
we decided to bring another person, and that's when Dylan comes in, and then we
Mhm.
buy the food truck,
Yep.
and then so we kind of like move forward with the food truck, start partnering up with some breweries, like doing
Mhm.
some beer gardens, moving to some you know, like weddings. So
Mhm.
we did weddings with
Mhm.
the food truck. So
Yeah.
the food truck, it was designed to be a mobile kitchen. So that
Yeah.
was not like just a food truck. So we could be able to cook a street food to like a steak and lobster
Oh, I
dinner.
love
So
that.
like
Yeah.
the food truck is has like everything that we need for
Mhm.
develop a menu for that. Um, and somehow we find out, you know, doing those beer dinners, and Arnie being a good really good friend with now the general manager of Central Waters,
Mhm.
and me knowing the owner Anelo Molika from Central Waters,
Mhm.
so kind of like get that relationship to,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you know, Darylin, it was leaving Central
Mhm.
Waters, kind of like we got over, or got talk about it, like, you know, like if we want to take over the kitchen. Then,
Then
so
it
we got the opportunity to take over the kitchen at Central Waters, and now we were running the truck.
And how long have you been at Central Waters?
So we started 2021.
Okay. Okay. About
So
3 years now.
yeah, so that was kind of like you know, kind of moving faster than that.
Mhm.
So after 7 months of opening Central Waters, like we start doing like more pop-up dinners, like
Okay.
in surrounding areas, like we were going to Bayview, would do like a third space, uh 1840, and then kind
Mhm.
of like a, you know, like showing like the how we started with the really thankful for the beer industry from Milwaukee,
Mhm.
and kind of like taking advantage of that with the places that don't have kitchens.
Right.
And we were doing dinners in Waukesha
Mm.
at Chef Pam's.
Okay.
And so what she does is like just like a cooking classes. So we were gonna bring that crowd, and we were sold out like soon that she put post
Mhm.
the dinner,
Oh
so they
wow.
sold out really fast. Um, so the owner of their building, what Chef Pam's is,
Mhm.
by where the Cloud Hotel is,
Yeah.
and so she got pushed, and this is like you know, you want to take over the
Yeah.
restaurant, and she's like, that's not something that I'm looking for, but
Mhm.
I know someone that be able to kind of like create something cool for that space. So she introduced us to the new owner, and then last year, and around the first 2 months, so we start talking about it, and
Okay.
then so we finally meet this person, uh, and then started like looking in the place. Soon there, I walk in the place, I couldn't have the vision.
You knew it was
The
You
that
home.
knew,
was like
right? Yeah.
this is it. This is like what
Yeah.
we're trying to be
Yeah.
looking for, and we were like, I was really happy like doing all the stuff in Central Waters. I know it's just tacos, it's loaded fries, but I was like, everybody get mad at me because I make like the loaded fries like so fancy and
Uh-huh. You
little
got
things
your
in
touch.
microgreens, tongues, and everything. Not everybody was able to do it, and they knew my business partners. They knew like that I was like kind of like a dying in there. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like
Mhm.
I need that, and
Right.
so when we started with the concept, it's like, well, what we're gonna do, and we went to like from the steakhouse, and like something more elevated. And I was like, no, we want to do like a Latin fusion. I want
Mhm.
to like
Mm-hmm.
continue with the concept, like the troublemakers is
Yeah.
like a lot of the diversity of the food, and we took it everything to Mexican food is what we call like mad Mexican hybrid
Mhm.
fusion. And then it's like Travieso has to have like something more unique,
Yeah.
and it's like let's what are we able to do like some South Central North America, and a
Mhm.
little bit like the stuff that we're doing, like not international, but like have like something that people that are already familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
They don't feel like so weird that I'm gonna try this like food, and it's like wow.
Yeah.
And like in 3 months, so we like set the mark, and it's like we need to be open by May. Like we
And
need
what
to be open by May
that conversation, when was that?
from probably like the end of February,
Okay.
and then we're gonna try to push to open in May.
Oh, okay.
So permits, like
That was
liquor
real
Yeah.
short
license,
time.
like so we trust Arnie to like kind of like run the food truck at Central Waters, and Dylan and I, so kind of like moving forward to like speed the way that we're gonna try to be open Travieso in that time, in
Yeah.
that
Mm-hmm.
frame.
Okay.
Um, like there was days that we were there like 7 a.m. to probably 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and then come back the next day and
Mhm.
running wires, cleaning
I
the
can
kitchen,
imagine.
Mm-hmm.
hire like like hiring people, um, developing the menu, recipes, all the stuff that we try to
Mm-hmm.
do, and we did it.
You did it.
We did it, and we were like so happy and so excited about like introducing the concept to people in Waukesha, because the demographic in Waukesha, a lot of people when we started, so there was like, oh, just another Mexican restaurant, and
Mhm.
we have like too many. When it's like we're not
Like,
gonna say
no,
anything,
no.
and it's like let's wait a little bit, and
Yeah.
kind of like introducing that, and like us just wait till people that come and dine, and then just word of mouth, and kind of like develop the customer base.
Yeah. I love
And
it.
from there, so
You
we're like now open for 9 months.
yeah.
Wow.
You have quite the journey.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
love that.
super crazy.
All right. Well, we're going to come back and hear a little bit more from Chef Martine right after this break. All right, all right, all right. We back. We back. How y'all feeling?
Yeah.
Good.
Well, since you done spoke up, I want to have Miss Jonna Moore of Brownstone introduce herself and share a little bit about her journey, where you from, what you been doing, how you got to where you are, all
Ooh,
the things.
you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm Jonna Moore. I am the vice president at the African American Chamber of Commerce of Wisconsin. And then I'm also the owner of Brownstone Social Lounge. I attended Rufus King International Baccalaureate High School for the college bound,
Yeah.
the best high school in Milwaukee. And then I went
I'm sure your
to
generals are cheering for you.
always. And then I went to Jackson State University in Jackson, Mississippi, which is an HBCU. And I went and got my degree in biology because I wanted to be a doctor. I thought I was going to be a pediatrician. So my degree has absolutely nothing to do with my career. And so when I graduated, I was in nonprofit and I did nonprofit work for about 8 years. Um, and the nonprofit that I worked for, I absolutely loved it. I had been with the organization since I was 16.
Mhm.
I was a part of their organization as a participant, and then eventually worked my way into um, being an intern, and then a program coordinator, and then uh, first lead program coordinator, and then worked my way into being the program manager and overseeing the entire programming that we did for the organization. And so with that, I did that for about 7, 8 years. And then my dad, when I came back from school, I actually went back to school. So I went
Mhm.
to Cleveland State to do a post-bac program for pre-medical sciences
I
because
remember that.
I really thought I was going to be a doctor. And so I went to Cleveland State for a semester to do pre-medical sciences and then realized that I didn't like it. So I came back. And then I tried it again when I went to UWM. So I tried that again for like another maybe year or so. And then it was like, okay, this is very, very challenging. And it was just really difficult for me to grasp actually getting to medical school. Like the
Mhm.
journey was really difficult. And so I didn't understand like why things weren't working out the way that I wanted them to. And so one day my cousin, we were at some family gathering and she pulled me to the side and she's like, John, I don't think you're supposed to be a doctor.
Mm.
And I'm like, looking at her crazy, like, what? And she's like, I don't think you're supposed to be a doctor. She's like, I think God has something different for you. She was like, you are gifted with people and
Mhm.
you do well in community work and nonprofit work. I think that you're supposed to be doing something else. That's why this medical thing is
Yeah.
not working for you.
Mm.
And so I'm like, I don't know. But I took what she said and I actually left it in the back of my mind. It was something
Mhm.
that just stayed there for a while. And so I ended up exploring with nonprofit work. And that's why I stayed with the nonprofit that I was with for so long. And then in that, my dad decided he wanted to open up a bar. And so he opened up his bar when I came back from Cleveland State. And so I thought he was joking. I didn't think he was serious about it at all. He's like, I'm gonna open up a bar on 3rd Street. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. So he took the time and he gutted this building on 3rd Street. And I came back home and he was in that bar, like just
Mhm.
remodeling the entire thing by himself. And so when he finished, I actually went to go see him one day and he was sitting in there by himself and he had his first customer. He was super excited about it. And he's like, go behind the bar and make us drink. And I'm like, Dad, I'm not a bartender. I don't know how to bartend and I don't know how to make drinks. This was in like 2011.
Yeah.
And he's like, just go pour the drink. I'll tell you what to do. Just go pour it. I'm like, okay. So I go and I make this man drink. He like, just stay there. I'm like, what?
It was a setup.
It was a setup. I'm like, really, Dad? He got me. So I stayed, and next thing I know, 3 people come in the door, 4 or 5 people come in the door. I'm like, help, because I don't know what I'm doing.
Help.
I'm going to just tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Just keep putting the ice in the cups and then pour the drinks. Just count to 5. I'm like, okay. So from there,
Uh-oh.
I started bartending, and I never left my dad's bar. So his bar was called Total Game, and he had it right on 3rd Street. That was his first location. And so I bartended there for as long as he was there. Um, did not have a plan to bartend, did not think that that's what I was supposed to be doing, but it was good money. And so I'm like, okay, I can do this. But I never thought at that time that that was that was going to be a part of my journey.
Right.
I always had 2 jobs or 3. So at
I'm
that
like,
time,
upper number.
or 3. So at that time, I was working at the nonprofit. I was bartending, and then I was also working at Old Navy. And it was a lot. I don't know why I've always had more than one job, but I've always had more than one job. And so I kind of just went through that process of just going to work, getting up, going to work. I would go to my day job from 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, leave there, go bartend. Other days I would get up at 5 in the morning, go to Old Navy, do the shipments. Then go to my full-time job. Go to a full-time job and then go to the bar. So that was my life for like at least a good 4 years, right out of my experience with my post-bac program. And so then I decided to quit Old Navy. I'm like, I gotta go. Something just gotta give. So I'm gonna just do 2 jobs. So I tried to quit Old Navy, and they wouldn't let me quit. So they like worked with me with my schedule. They're like, well, you can pick a day, pick a couple days, whichever days you want, and we'll figure it out. And I'm like, all right. So I stayed for like another year, and then I came back, and I'm like, okay, I have to quit. I have to put in my notice. And then they were kind of just like, okay. But I stayed again for like 6 months. And then my mom was like, you have to quit. It's okay to quit, and it's okay to say no. And so I went back again. I'm like, okay, I have to quit. Like, I have to quit. This is my last time, my last notice. So 3rd time's a charm. I quit third time around.
For real that time.
For real that time I quit. And so I was just doing the bar, and then I was just doing my full-time job. And I got so much fulfillment out of the work that I did in nonprofit. And I grew a lot and found that that really was my passion, like working with people. And at that time it was working with youth. And that was like the biggest fulfillment for me.
Right.
Being able to work with youth and see their growth and see their process and how they think, and not me just teaching them, but them teaching me along the way. Like, they told me a lot about myself. They told me about me multiple times when I didn't want to hear it. I'm like, okay. So that journey and that job meant a lot to me. And I grew a lot, and that was like being in that role at that organization. That also gave me the opportunity to be in management for the first time and to be a leader. And it was hard. It was very hard. So being a leader and having to manage people that you were friends with and going from peer to manager, they don't teach you how to navigate through that. And so that for me was a challenge. And I'm like, okay, maybe leadership is not for me. This ain't it. And so I struggled with managing and leading a team because I didn't know how.
Okay.
And I was never taught like all of the fundamentals. Right. I had great leadership, but because I had been there so long, it was like it'll come natural for you, so you can do it. But in the back of my mind, still, I'm like, I'm not doing it, and I'm clearly struggling. So help. And so I went through different leadership programs. I'm still bartending. I'm trying to figure it out and navigate through. And eventually I got to a point where I felt like I just couldn't do it. And so in 2018, I decided to quit my job. And at that same time, my dad had moved to his second location for a total game. He left where he was at and he just moved to a different building. And I still bartended for him. I was really like the bar manager, but we never really just had titles. He just used to leave me there, and I was just there to like hold it down and figure it out. So I'm telling everybody what to do, and then I'm bartending and I'm helping him manage the bar. So he decided to close his doors. So that happened in 2018, and at the beginning of 2018 was when I got my position as a program manager.
Okay.
And at that time, I had also had thoughts of quitting my job. And my mom was like, no, you need a backup plan. And I was like, I can't just quit. She like, no, you need another job. So what are you going to do? And I'm like, dang, I ain't think about that. So I stayed.
Yeah.
And I continued to just go through the with the position, even though I was scared. I did it and I went through it. And I learned a lot. And I learned a lot of valuable things and a lot of valuable information. And I learned a lot about myself throughout that process.
I'm sure, yeah.
And so I stayed there for a year until the end of 2018, so in December. And I ended up deciding at that point that I really couldn't do it anymore. And I'm like, okay, I think it's really time for me to go. So I went back again and I told my mom, I'm like, I have to go. Like, I think it's my time. I have to go. And she's like, I think you're right. It's time for you to go. And so I told her that I was going to quit. So the second time around, she approved. She was like, just quit. We're going to figure it out. I told my dad, he's like, just quit. We're going to figure it out. I told my aunt, who I'm really close to, she's like, just quit. We're going to figure it out. Like, until you get on your feet, we got you. Like, okay. So I put in my notice and I actually left still like in the middle of the programming year. So their first semester, I finished out the first semester. And then I didn't stay to complete the second semester, which I was trying to do because I know how it can be to leave in the middle of something and it's not finished.
Right.
But at that time, it was like, it was time for me to go.
Yeah.
So I took it upon myself to just take that leap, and I just quit. I didn't have a job lined up. I didn't have money. I was still at home with my mom. I had nothing. And so I ended up making a post about it on Facebook, but it was just an appreciation post for the job. And when I did that, I got so much like love and appreciation posts. And then I started getting a bunch of inboxes from people about other job opportunities. So I'm looking through these messages and they're like, you can come here. You can come here. I got a job for you right here. And I'm like, I don't want to do any of this. And I had my boss my other boss who I worked for at the chamber, who hired me, he had reached out to me in January of 2018, right when I was getting my promotion at my other job for the program manager. And he reached out to me about coming to the chamber to do economic development work as a development specialist. And I said, I don't want to do that. I'm like, no. He's like, no. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. And so he's like, I'll ask again. Don't worry about it.
Right.
So when he found out I left my job, he sent me another inbox and he's like, are you ready? And I'm like, okay, I'll come. So I decided to take him up on his offer to come to the chamber. And he brought me on as a program consultant. At that time, he was the new president and CEO. I think he may have been there for about 2 years. And he ended up like really doing great things at the chamber and putting the chamber like really out there. And I'm like, okay, well, if there's anybody that I, trust and know to help me do this work, And that's gonna help lead and guide me as I continue to grow. Like it's gonna be
Definitely
him.
be him. Yeah.
And so I took him up on the offer to be a program consultant, and I had no clue what I was doing. I had no clue about what economic development was, didn't understand what entrepreneurship was. Even though my dad was an entrepreneur, I
Right.
had no clue. I'm like, I don't know what this is,
Yeah.
and I don't know what I'm doing. And so also with that, when my dad closed his bar, I'm like, I need fast money.
Mm-hmm.
So in the midst of me trying to figure out if I was gonna go to the chamber, I went to Brownstone. I frequented Brownstone a lot prior to me actually working there. And I asked the owner at the time, Corey, if he needed a bartender. And he didn't, but because he knew I bartended, he was like, I'll make a spot and I'll figure it out. I'm like, okay, great. So I started at the chamber and I started at Brownstone, same time, same month, same year. Um, and that was weird. And I didn't really think anything of it at the time, but I started both of those jobs in the same week. And I was a program consultant and I was a bartender. And so with learning about economic development and entrepreneurship, I was extremely scared and nervous because I had no clue what I was doing. And my boss at the time, Ossie Kendricks, would just kind of throw me out there to the wolves to see if I was going to sink or swim. So he would put me in these spaces and I had no clue what I was talking about, no clue what I was doing. And I'm like, you want me to do what? Okay. And so I remember there was a time where we went to a conference and he was supposed to show up to speak on this panel. And I had maybe been there 4 months. And they're like, where's Ossie? And I'm like, he should be on his way. But we had a table as well, so we were vending.
Yeah.
And so my now boss, who worked at the city at the time, she put the event together, but it was a really big event for entrepreneurs. And she's like, let me call him. So she calls him. She comes back. She's like, he asked if you were here. He said you got it. I'm like, what?
Oh, it was a setup.
It was a setup. I'm like, what? I'm like, what am I doing? She's like, well, you got to speak on this panel. And I'm like, about what? And like, who's on the panel? So the mayor at the time, he got up and spoke first, and then he introduced the panel. And the panel was all of these other presidents, CEOs, and executives. And I'm like, I'm a program consultant. Like, you want me to do what? And I had only been there for a good 4 months. I'm like, I have no clue what I'm doing. And so I text him. I'm like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, I need help. And so he's like sending me stuff like, okay, like if you need help, like this is what you can talk about. But he didn't really tell me like what to say. So I'm like, okay, I'll figure it out. I'm gonna figure it out. So I did it. And that was like one of many times where he done threw me in the fire and just kind of like, you got it.
Yeah.
And that's probably the best like way to help groom and mold people, especially leaders. It's like the best way to see if somebody can take the pressure and see if they're gonna sink or swim.
Right.
And so from there, I continued to do the program consultant, and I did that for like a year. So I took all of the programs that the chamber had, and I was taking those programs and like reconstructing the programs to make them better. And so I was doing that, and then I was still bartending as well. So 9 months into me bartending, I was approached about becoming the bar manager. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And so it's weird when people see stuff in you that you don't see in yourself. And so Corey's like, you want to be the bar manager? And I'm like, no, I don't. And he's like, you ever thought about owning a bar? And I'm like, absolutely not. No. He's like, you wouldn't do that? Find somebody else to do it because I don't want to. And so he's like, okay, but you'll do bar managing. I'm like, yeah, I'll manage the bar. I don't know what that looks like, but I'll manage the bar. And so he groomed me to be the bar manager. And so as I was doing that, I told my dad, I'm like, I was asked to be the bar manager. I was like, but then I was also asked if I was interested in like ownership and taking over the bar. He's like, and what did you say? And I said, well, I told him no. And he's like, you said no? I'm like, yeah. I said no. He's like, why? Are you scared? I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that. And he's like, no, he's going to ask you again. And when he does, you say yes. And I'm like, Dad, he's not going to ask again. He's like, no, he's going to ask you again. So like a good year and a half goes by and it comes up again. And in my head, I'm like, oh, shoot. My dad said, don't say no, say yes. So it comes up again. And I'm like, okay, yes.
Yeah.
That was it. I'm just like, yes. And so once I said yes, it was almost like everything changed real quick. And I found myself taking over the bar and having to really be responsible for everything.
Right.
And not really knowing like and understanding what that looked like because it was scary for me.
Yeah.
It was
That's a whole new ball
It was a
game.
whole new ball game. It was one thing to help my
Yeah.
dad run a bar, and it was another thing to like manage people. But then when you have to make decisions and when you have to be put in this position to call the shots,
Yeah.
that was scary for me. And so I'm going through this process of making.
This is why I can't be a bartender. I'm too clumsy.
I'm going through this process of managing the bar, and then now I'm going through this process of learning how to run a bar. And then at the same time, I'm at the chamber and I'm going from program consultant to part-time program manager, and then from program manager to vice president.
Madam Vice President.
And that's another story in itself. And so I ended up, Corey kind of did me the same way Ossie did. He just left me to figure it out. But he was there for whatever questions I had. Whatever questions I had, he's always there to answer the phone. He's always there to tell me I'm doing something wrong. And so that helped me to understand what it really meant to run a bar. So I was running the bar by myself for almost 3 years. And a lot of people didn't know. A lot of the things that were taking place with like a lot of the decision making and just like making sure the processes stayed in place, I was definitely doing a lot of that. And Corey was just
hands off. Yeah.
And so that for me was kind of like, okay, this is really going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
At the same time, I was also going through the process of understanding what it meant to be the program manager at the chamber. And so I ended up going through a leadership program in 2020 through 2021, the African American Leadership Program. AALP. And so I went through that program and learned a lot about myself when it came to learning how to be a leader. And so when I went through that program, I remember Ossie coming to me and saying, okay, so are you going to leave the chamber? Because every time people go through that program, they leave a job.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, no, I'm not leaving. He's like, what are you going to do? I said, I want your job. He's like, okay. So I knew he was getting ready to leave. And so I'm like, well, I want your job. And then after I said it, I'm like, why would you say that? Like, it's not something you say. Like, that's not what you do. You really want to do that? Because that's scary too. Yeah. And so he's like, well, let's, figure something out. And so I had to create a position for what a vice president looked like for that organization because the organization's never had a vice president.
Got you.
And so I had to create an entire PowerPoint write-up on the position itself, the description, the job description, and what that looked like. Right. And so I had to really I had to go back and present this PowerPoint. I had to really go through like a interview process with him, and I ended up doing well apparently, because then I was promoted
Right.
to vice president, and so I became the first vice president of the African American Chamber of Commerce.
Love it.
And so that happened, and then for the next that happened in 2021. So from 2021 until 2023, I was at the bar, and I'm still running the bar, but
Mhm.
nobody knows what's really going on.
Mhm.
And I'm just there every day, but people aren't understanding why I'm there every day.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought I was just there kicking it every single day, but that really wasn't my thing. Like, I
Right.
really wanted to go home
Mhm.
97% of the time. But I was there because it was me being dedicated to what I was being asked to do.
Right.
And so in August of 2023, I had officially signed my paperwork to be the new owner of Brownstone.
Yay.
So that was really exciting, but very scary and nerve
Mhm.
wracking. But on the flip side, I was prepared for it.
You were.
And so I really thank Corey for really just preparing me for that. Because
Yeah.
had he not thrown me in the way that he did, but mentored me the way that he did through it,
Yeah.
I probably would have been like, I quit. But
Yeah.
that really, the way that I've been mentored and helped through the process has really helped me, as I continue to understand the true meaning of entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
understand the true meaning of running and owning a business,
Mhm.
and really making it what you want.
Yep.
So yeah, like
Oh, that's quite.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, that's quite the journey, and I think
Yeah.
I see to Corey, like, you got shaped in so many different ways,
Yeah.
and that leadership came through you, like,
Mhm.
naturally through
Yeah.
them. So I
Yeah.
know that's dope. That's
Thank
dope. I love
you.
it. Well, we'll be right back after this break, and we're going to learn a little bit more about the culture of these establishments. All right, we're back with Chef Martine and Jana. I want to transition this next segment and talk a little bit about the culture and atmosphere of each of these very well respected establishments. And Jana, tell me a little bit about how you define the culture of Brownstone and how you cultivate it.
So Brownstone is a space for, because it's black owned, it's always been a space for uh, young professionals, but
Mhm.
also just for people to come and be able to relax and kind of, best word I can use is vibe, have a good vibe.
Yeah.
Um, it's definitely a space that is welcoming. Um, and we do our best to make sure that everybody feels welcome when they come through those doors. And so the artwork, I think, speaks a lot for itself when it comes to
Mhm.
the bar, with the paintings and just the big painting that was done by Terrell Morgan,
Mhm.
which is another um, black painter
Mhm.
entrepreneur. So shout out to him. And I think that with the culture, we definitely look to create a vibe and an atmosphere that's relaxing, but also makes people feel good. We
Mhm.
want people to say, like, I love Brownstone. And we want
Mhm.
people to say, I'm coming back to Brownstone.
Yeah.
And so we try to create an atmosphere that is fun, but is also loving at the same time.
Mhm.
And so we try to do that with our food, because food is, we got a lot of foodies that come to
Yeah,
Brownstone. So
sure do.
our food so our food is definitely one way. And then um definitely just making sure that we interact with the customers. And
Mhm.
so a lot of the customers, they call it home.
Yeah. You
They
have a lot
definitely
of
call it
regular
home. We have a lot
customers.
of regulars,
Mhm.
and they call it home. When we don't see people for a long time, where you been? Like, we
Mhm.
ain't seen you in a while.
Right.
Just because that's the environment that we want to create.
It's like family.
It's definitely a good family environment. And then also with the music, like music, I think is important to any environment.
Mhm.
And for me, I love throwback old school hip hop. I'm a Jay-Z
Same.
fan, and so I'm real
You're
quick
not
to,
just a Jay-Z fan. Like a die-hard
All right.
yeah.
Jay-Z fan.
I was trying to water it down.
We don't
I am a
sugarcoat on here.
I am a diehard Jay-Z fan. I am I think I'm probably his number one fan. And so he laughed like I am. But then so like I love like rap, but like the old throwback rap.
Mhm.
And then R&B. R&B, good old R&B
Yeah.
is like the perfect mix of a good time
Yeah.
to me. And so making sure that the music is right, cuz that definitely sets the tone for the
Yep.
space. And so we definitely work towards making sure that the music is always right, because that sets the tone. And
Mhm.
then making sure that the atmosphere is right. So
Yeah.
we really work towards making sure that the staff is providing good customer service and the staff
Mhm.
is friendly. And I mean, there are some times where we have hiccups, and
Mhm.
everything ain't, it's not going to always
Everybody
stick.
gonna have
Everybody don't
hiccups.
always have good days.
Right.
But that's something that we really pride ourselves on and that we really work to stay true to.
Mhm.
And that we have conversations with our staff about all the time, about
Mhm.
making sure that customer service is a priority,
Mhm.
making
Yeah.
sure that the actual like experience for the customer is a good experience.
Right.
And so we really pride ourselves on that. And it starts at the door.
It does.
It
Yeah.
starts right at the door. So
Mhm.
when you walk in, and whoever's sitting at that door to card and check your
Mhm.
ID, like the experience starts there.
Right.
And so we work on really making sure that that is that's key, and
Mhm.
that it goes through every single staff member within the space.
Yes. I
That's
love it. So fusion has been an evolving topic in the culinary industry. I want to hear about Chef Martine, how fusion translates to your atmosphere and culture of Travioso.
Well, like I mean, like like when we started, like why I started like doing all this fusion. I
Mhm.
always have a dream, and always, like my biggest dream is have a having a house with a big table, because I
Mm.
want
Mm.
people coming together, gather together, and have those conversations.
Mhm.
And when I started like developing all the concept for fusion, it's what I was trying to bring a lot of people together, not just with one concept, but
Mhm.
Mhm.
I can reach like like Asian food, Italian food, Mexican food, and combine all that fusion
Mhm.
and introduce that to like have like a lot of like diversity people coming in the restaurant
Mhm.
and understanding a lot of the flavors. When I start doing the menus, even if I don't know how to do it, but reading about it and understanding like everything, I always have that touching tables and talk to the customers, see like what's the feedback,
Mhm.
what I had to do to improve my business, and with all these like like the people understanding what we try to do with Travieso and Troublemakers, it's kind of like always like a really nice introduction to with the
Wow.
place. Just
I don't know if y'all can see it on camera, but the whole street is flooded behind us. Drive safe if you're out on the roads. They can't. Oh, they
Oh.
can. Yeah. Please drive safe. Be careful.
that's,
All
Swimming
that's
right.
pool
all
right there.
but yeah, so with developing the restaurant and the concept, we play with two different things, two different teams, and Travieso. So you have a super club and the Latin fusion. So
Mhm.
when you walk in the restaurant, so you have this like really nice um, dark theme, like very artsy, like kind of like a chic, like beautiful, like you see all the colors and when you walking in. We have like a really nice house stand in there. It's like a half of the tree, so
Okay.
and then you have all the lights in there. But when soon that you walk on the dining room, so when you see like the Latin fusion concept, kind of
Mhm.
like opens up like with all the windows, like everything more like light, like the really open concept with all these plants, screens everywhere,
Mhm.
and the mismatched chairs, and like the kind of like develop it like all the colors with the food that we try to create at Travieso, same as the Troublemakers, and introducing all that, and like especially like with the service, like the Jonah say, that's
Mhm.
very important to create that connection with the guests, because like
Right.
sometimes a lot of people there's like, oh yeah, it's just like like that's not just to go have a dinner in the restaurant, it's
Mhm.
go and have
Mhm.
an experience,
Yeah.
like the
Mhm.
experience uh, with the people coming on the restaurant. So that's very important for me and for like my staff and like for my business partners to try to create that base of regular people coming back to the restaurant,
Mhm.
over and over and over, and the word of mouth, and
Mhm.
more people like talking about the stuff that you're doing, and like growing from that and learning to how you can reach uh, to that people that keep coming back, and like doing all these new specials, changing the
Mhm.
menu every 4 months. It's like a super seasonal menu. Like always like people that are kind of like come in, and it's like, oh my god, it's like I never tried octopus, and it's like, just try it. If you don't like it, that's not a problem.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
when soon they try something that they're not very familiar with, and they try it the way that I do it.
We gotta create something that Jonna gonna try. Cause when I tell you she chicken tenders and French fries,
They're
we
so
gotta
good.
get something a unique take on that with a twist,
Definitely.
so
I
she
mean,
can
wait,
try
yeah.
it. I'm gonna take her to Waukesha.
Yeah, we gonna come. And you guys change your menu every 4 months.
Every 4 months. Yeah.
What is that process like?
It's not like the full entire menu. So it's about like 40% of the menu. We have to be very careful with the. We have a lot of people coming with allergies, but
Mhm.
also like we create the space to, you don't have to come with like all dressed stuff. It's like casual, so you can be
Mm.
even with, like flip flops, shorts. That you can be all dressed up for
Mhm.
any anniversary. You can sit at the bar. It's like two different
Mm.
uh, ambience like that we try to provide for everybody,
Mhm.
and people like loving it, and it's just like
Yeah.
it makes me feel like every time that I walk around and talk to people and kind of like have the feedback, and it's like let's keep going, like
Yeah.
this reaction, and developing the stuff that we try to do, even like like you said, like chicken nuggets.
Mhm.
but but that's the fun part, and like and like a troublemakers when we started designing the menu for that. It's like how I can develop like something like super cool, and it's
Mhm.
like I'm gonna create my own barbecues. I'm like, and I
Mm-hmm.
started making like a tahini pineapple, like honey lime mole, and
Mhm.
like kind of like elevate it a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and it like added like pickled onions to the wings, and kind of
Yeah.
like always like kind of like play around to like people when they come in, their expectations. They're like, what he's gonna do now? What we're gonna do to like create that um, place that you want to coming back for?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like
That's
You
I
want
was
to
good
come
excited.
though,
back.
because
Like
You
it
want to try.
creates like the element of surprise, and it gives
Yeah.
people something to look forward
yeah,
to when they
and
come back.
then
Mm-hmm.
always like adding like something like Taco Tuesday, even if I like everybody is doing it, but I'm gonna do something different with the tacos.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Like Friday, like I want to do like something like fish fry, and then it's like, how are you gonna make your fish fry different?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's like I'm gonna make like a tartar sauce, but I'm gonna do like cilantro jalapeno, add all that texture, like
Mm-hmm.
something like with the dry peppers to make
Mhm.
the creamy kosla, and kind of
Yeah.
like a tahini lime, and making like something unique for the people coming back, and they get excited about it,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
and that, and it's like that really really nice to you be able to create something fun when the people want to coming back, and not just for older people, but for the younger people, like
Mm-hmm.
like
Mhm.
the people that kind of like share like the social media,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's gonna be like like trending around. It's like, oh, let's
Yeah.
go to Travieso, let's go to
Mhm.
Brown, and people, and I've been there, and it's super fun. I love that place.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like like this, like I have a lot of friends that like the first introduced me, like take me there. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then I want to coming back like every weekend. I was like,
Yeah.
but like, like being in the business or in the food industry, it's always like hard.
Mhm.
'Cause it's like there
Mm-hmm.
always
Yeah.
changes. Like you're
Yeah.
like super tired, you want to go home, but that's what you try to develop. Like like really nice place, feel comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
be like
Mhm.
like kind of like this is my safe place after work,
Mhm.
or like
Mm-hmm.
or have like a any anniversary, like birthday party,
Right.
rehearsal, anything that you can be able
Mhm.
to create for your business. I mean, it's like really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to hear a little bit about your experiences in your areas that you're in. So you're downtown Milwaukee, a black owned bar. What is that experience like for you on that
Mm.
strip?
It's a good experience. We get a lot of people who've never been to Brownstone before.
Mm-hmm.
We get a lot of new customers all the time, and the crowd is becoming more diverse, which is exciting. Um, and because it's right on Water Street and it's not far from Summerfest, it's
Mm-hmm.
not far from the public market.
Right.
Um, we get a lot of people that walk by and then they just open the door and they're like, "Oh, people in here," and it's nice. And then they come in and they're like, "Can we have a drink?" And it's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah." And so just being able to introduce people to Brownstone because it is different.
Mm-hmm.
It's always fun
Mm-hmm.
to be able to kind of see how people view it and experience it and what their experiences are like. And then we typically find that a lot of times when people come and they sit and they're gonna stay.
Right.
They're gonna stay. And so being on Third Street, I don't I don't know how Corey picked that building. Cause in my mind, I would probably be like, I want to be somewhere busy
Mm-hmm.
and like not on a main street, but
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mhm.
like the opposite of all of that. I
Right.
don't know what the vision was behind that, but in hindsight, it's a really great location
Yeah.
because it's not far from anything
Anything.
that
Yeah.
happens downtown, like the Five Serve.
Mm-hmm.
When there are concerts, when there are Bucks games, people leave those games. They leave the concerts. They
Mm-hmm.
come to Brownstone.
Yeah.
People will come to Brownstone before they go to the Five Serve, before
Mm-hmm.
they go to the game, before they go to a concert. So it's really great to be in that location
Right.
because it is definitely down by everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good attraction spot.
No,
And
it
then there's
is.
a hotel right on the corner. So
Mm-hmm.
we get a lot of people who come from out of town and they're like, we just saw the bar, and so we're we're
Here
here.
we
So
are.
here we are. And it was really cool because we had the housewives of Salt Lake City. So
Okay.
they were filming in Milwaukee last weekend,
Yeah.
and their hotel, they stayed at the hotel right on the corner.
Okay.
And so their production team came, and they're like, "Yeah, we just want to order some food for the cast." I'm like, "What cast?"
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's like being right there is it's a really good location, and it's a really good spot to be in.
Love it. And then you get so many passerbys there, and
So many passerbys.
I have had meetings down there. I've been at the public market. I'm like, well, shoot, I'm over here. I might as well stop at Brownstone. Like,
Mhm.
it's that
Yep.
type of feeling when Brownstone is just right there.
Yep. Yeah,
Mhm.
we get a lot of people who um a lot of sororities and fraternities, if they have events, they'll finish the event, they'll come to Brownstone. We
Mhm.
have corporate, like, individuals who
Mhm.
they want to utilize the space because they're right around the corner, so they
Mhm.
come for happy hour.
Right.
So it's definitely a really good spot to be in.
And in case y'all didn't know, Brownstone is our main course sponsor for Flavor Fix. Shout out to Brownstone Social Lounge. Woo woo.
We still got DJ L Boogie. L
He
Boogie
be
is not leaving. He was.
he be running
Yep, I
around.
know.
He
Yep.
interning here, running around, dancing on the street, on the steps.
Yep, that sounds like Boogie. Boogie got the energy for everybody. If you
Yeah.
don't have it, he got it for you.
Yep, for real. All right, Chef Martine, tell us about your experience with Travioso downtown. Is downtown Waukesha?
Yeah.
How's that?
It was like what that it's one of those things like that, like as a business owner or as a chef. I mean, you always try to find or challenging yourself, like like you
Mhm.
have to believe in what you're gonna try to do or kind of try to experience in a different cities.
Mhm.
um I love Milwaukee. Like I'm really happy that we have troublemakers in
Mhm.
Milwaukee, but also like try to find a spot on a different location,
Mm-hmm.
especially Waukesha.
Yeah.
That was kind of like searching around like for different locations. We could go to Brookfield, Delafield, like maybe closer to West Allis,
Mhm.
Bayview. That was one of the
Mm-hmm.
main. We look in different places,
Mhm.
but we look in places, but that was not that feeling when we
Mm.
walk in there. The demographic in Waukesha, it's a little bit different. The what people go to Milwaukee or go to Madison or go to Chicago,
Mhm.
but developing that concept of you don't have to be traveling kind of far. That
Right.
like like having that spot that you can have like anything that you need, the experience, the dinner, the fine dining that I
Mhm.
try to provide at Travieso.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like really nice, and
Yeah.
then you can see like people coming from Muskego, coming from Muguanago, coming from Menomonee Falls, Milwaukee, Delafield, Brookfield, and then you have all that people coming right
Mm-hmm.
in downtown Waukesha. I mean, it's not like so many spots like right now. It's just
Mhm.
like few like good restaurants that you can have
Mhm.
good dinner and some of that stuff. But with the unique concept that we try to provide with Travieso, a lot of people that are like now they start gathering in there, and
Mm-hmm.
then having that attention from Milwaukee, from the critics, and some of the people that come
Yeah.
in, they already know like
Mhm.
what they're expecting.
They better
So
ask
they,
about
they
you.
be asking, hey, it's like what happened to this guy? No, but it's really nice, like the and growing as a chef and growing like because every day I feel learning like more and more and more and more, and can try to express that in the plates and the food and the service, and like as a new role
Mm-hmm.
for everybody, like
I wish we could zoom in on an image of some of his plating. Your plating is just phenomenal, chef. And the colors are just so bright, and it's just I'm gonna have to share some. I'll be
Well, we
sure to
just
share
got to
some.
take a field trip. I hope y'all got chicken. I hope y'all got chicken.
I have fried
Okay.
chicken. See, I have this fried chicken with the chorizo polenta, as the chorizo creamy sauce with the pickled onions, and it's like the charred green beans.
I only know two of what you said. I only know two of those things.
But
Sam is the
you
foodie.
will. you yeah, it's a lot of plates like the like the chicken streak on risotto with the tahini crusted chicken,
Mm.
and a lot of people that is like how it's like how this is combined
Tahini
together.
crusted chicken.
Uh-huh. And
Mm.
then as soon as you try it, I don't know
Well,
if
you
you
know what
ever.
tahini is.
I know what tahini is. Yes, I do know what tahini is.
I know that, but it's one of those things, like we try to introduce to people. It's like
Hmm.
something unique, and I
And
know,
those flavor combinations.
yeah,
I haven't heard of anything like that,
No.
but I love that you're introducing those concepts of
yeah,
new flavor techniques.
yeah. A lot of people, some people there. I have a dish with scallops and octopus.
Hmm.
Sorry, scallops and pork belly.
Mm.
And but I introduced that with Brussels sprout kimchi and the crispy Brussels sprouts with the pickled onions and the cilantro jalapeno aioli, and finish that with the chorizo oil. And people that's like, how you combine these and these
I know. I'm in my
flavors? And
head. I'm
I was
like,
like, and then soon that they try it, it's like they fall in love with the dish, and it's like I want to order this every time that I come in here. And
mm,
Wow.
but this is like the way that I try to introduce all these like and kind of make sure like people get more adventurous to the fusion,
Hmm.
mm,
and that dish has like Chinese influences, like the
mm,
Mexican, Peruvian, and then you go
Hmm.
for,
mm-hmm.
you try to search all that stuff, and
Yeah.
a lot of people they're like, when we talk about like Latin fusion, it's like, well, you have to be aware. And I open a lot of people that go like all the way south, like there was a little people that immigrate from Germany, like
Hmm.
from Italy, and a lot of Asian influence in Peru, a lot of like the African and the Caribbean, and then like plantains, like you can play with any of that stuff, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
how like start like getting more excited about like
Yeah.
making the new dishes, and just moving forward for more.
I love
Yeah.
it. And I know what plantains are too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jonna, you all have some interesting cocktails at Brownstone? Any
Hmm.
You want to tell us a little bit about some of the combinations that you all have come up with, or some of the crowd favorites? I know my personal favorite is the Brownstone bourbon. I'm gonna get it every time.
Yep. I was just gonna say the brownstone bourbon is definitely one of those drinks that customers order a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also believe in just including our staff in some of the
Yeah.
decisions that we make. And so we let them come up with some of the drinks too. So some of the bartenders have created some of the drinks.
I
And
love
so
that.
we've we have a spicy margarita.
Mm-hmm.
Now it doesn't sell that much yet, but it's going to be on the menu soon. So we're updating our menu, and so
Okay.
that's gonna be on there. But we've definitely played with the spicy margarita,
Mm.
using 21 seeds, cucumber jalapeno
Okay.
tequila, and it definitely smells like cucumber and jalapeno.
Okay.
But it's a few people just drink it by itself.
Oh,
But we
really?
use that to make the market.
You
Yeah.
drink that?
No,
Oh,
yeah, I mean,
you do.
it's really nice because now you can see like a lot of people get more like aware, like that's like I want to try that, and then
Mm.
Hmm.
we have infused a lot of the tequilas and some of that stuff with peppers,
Yep.
and then it's like I want
Mhm.
something like spicy, but it's
Yeah.
really nice, like when you start like introducing or experiment with a lot of like
Mhm.
new drinks.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's really awesome, like how people like that's like they don't get scared about to try the spicy stuff.
Yep.
They're just like they can eat more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we use that, but then we also just sell it by itself.
Mm.
I personally don't like it, but that's
Mm.
just my palate. And then our martinis are a big hit too. So we sell a lot of lemon drops. I know that
Mm.
was just the whole thing on social media, but we do sell a lot of
Was
lemon
it?
drops.
Was
Yeah,
it?
yeah, it was. Somebody made a post about bartending and how they don't like making lemon drops, but
Mm.
yeah, we gonna
People
make
like
our
it.
lemon drops every time. And so we've started making like flavored lemon drops too. So
Mm.
doing like strawberry, blueberry, peach,
Mm-hmm.
whatever people how their palates are. Like
Yeah.
we started doing that, and then mojitos are really big for us too. So we use like actual mint leaves. We
Mhm.
muddle the limes.
Mhm.
And then we also have done flavored mojitos. So that's become a thing too.
Yeah.
And so those are really big drinks for us as well. And then there's a lot of just single cocktail drinks that people
Mhm.
like.
Yeah.
And so there's like the Angel's Envy and then the Glenlivet and um the Macallan. Those go really fast,
Mhm.
especially for um like cigar smokers.
Mhm.
They really love those bourbons and whiskeys.
Yeah.
So those are always really, really good for them. And then trying to think, I feel like I'm missing one. We already said the brownstone bourbon.
Mhm.
Oh, and then there's the Saint Germain.
Oh, okay.
The
Okay.
Saint Germain. So that's made with Saint Germain.
Mhm.
And it's made with Saint Germain and triple sec and a few other things.
A few other
Um,
things.
from the menu. Yeah, that's why I stopped. That's a few other
Cigarettes.
things.
All right. Well, we're gonna come back and hear a little bit more about Brownstone and Troublemakers and Travioso. All right, y'all. We are back. So we talked all things culture and fusion and your locations and favorite drinks and dishes. How do you all stay competitive in these fast-paced, ever-evolving industries? How do you stay on trend? Like there's so many things that are changing and
Yeah, so I think for Brownstone, we definitely work to stay consistent. Consistency is key. So we, while there are other bars that are continuing to pop up in the city, we stay true to who we are and what we do. So we might change up a drink, add drinks to different drinks to the menu. We might, well, now we're changing up the food menu just a tiny, small bit. But then definitely having the different nights that we promote at the bar. Those things are really important for us, but just making sure that in all of that we stay consistent.
right.
Because I think that a lot of times when you try to do too much,
Yeah.
it doesn't always work. And so
No.
when you sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
And so I think for us, less is more, and it
Mhm.
works for us because we are a small bar. The space is not as big as most bars when you walk in, and so understanding that we have to just be consistent in what we're doing and how we're doing it. And then maybe throwing a few things in here and there. So like I'm a huge sports fan. So I love basketball, I love football.
Right.
And so when I started managing and taking over, I asked about incorporating Sunday football at Brownstone.
Yeah.
And I did it because my dad used to do it at his bar. And we had like a Packer, it was like Packer Sunday.
Yep.
And I missed it a lot because it was so fun.
Yeah.
And so I asked if we could bring it back. And I asked Corey if I could, do football Sundays. And we did it for one Sunday. And it was a hit.
Yeah.
And so it just really consisted of, showing the game, turning the sound on, and then having a DJ. Because like I said, music makes everything better.
Yep.
And so even though we're a lounge and we're considered a lounge, and we call ourselves a lounge, have that we have those days where we really engulf in sports.
Yeah.
And we really make sure that, the game is on, we turn it on.
Yeah.
And the sound is on. And then even with the Bucks games, there's always, every time the Bucks play, we're turning on the Bucks game. During the playoffs, we turn on the sound and we make it fun and engaging for the customers. And so we do small things like that to make sure that we can stay on top of, engaging our customers in other ways. But ultimately, being consistent in who we are is what really works for
Staying
us.
true to the brand.
Yeah.
Yes. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
What about what about you, Chef?
Yeah, I completely agree with Jonah, and it's just like the have the consistency and that what stuff that you try to do, but also for Travieso and being in Waukesha, it's a little more challenging because I have to introduce a little bit more than what we can, where try to be competitive and try to get all the crowd for all these surrounded areas. So we do a lot of like like a different in a different day. So we do like a Taco Tuesday. So we have like a 50% off and some selection wines on Wednesdays. We have a bourbon club on Thursdays. Fridays we have the fish fry. Like the weekends, so we have brunch both days, Saturday and Sunday. We have
I didn't realize that.
so we have a happy hour from Saturday 1 to 5, so you can get all the tacos that you can get at Troublemakers. So
Okay.
kind of introducing some of that stuff to some people
I
out
love
there.
Saturday happy hours.
Yeah, they're so
They're
much
great.
fun.
They are. I can start at yours and then just come on down to Brownstone.
Yeah. And Saturday night, so we do the prime rib, and that's one of those like things that I we're gonna try to push that for prime rib and Saturdays. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not your traditional prime rib. We do like
Right.
something like super unique, with the Brazilian rub, and adding like a vanilla beurre blanc with the huancaina sauce is like some kind of cheese sauce, and the spiral potato, and you have your option with mushrooms and chorizo aju for the
Mm.
for the prime rib. Sundays we only open 10 to 3 for brunch,
Okay.
but as like I say, so it's like always, kind of make it unique for
Mhm.
your brunch. It's not your traditional brunch, so you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna find a lot of like things that are like super different. But the having that, make it more unique, and like even for brunch. So we have the nitro flights. We have a venture. It's like one of the our main people that have to introduce that coffee from that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like that amazing coffee, and also like the amazing amazing beer with that. Working with a lot of like local produce, but also introducing like older flights. Like
Mm.
you can get from bourbon, from tequila, like the margarita flights. Try to have like the little bit. The people can try a little bit that stuff. Maybe like the next time they can order the full drink,
Right.
and then you never know. You like like
Mhm.
now I think like people they want to try more of the things,
Mm-hmm.
but that's how we try to approach people in Waukesha at Travieso, and it's just it's nice how people reacted, and get more comfortable to the new trending, and how we're gonna try to do that.
Yeah, you've talked a lot about so many different flavor combinations on the plate. What type of like thought process goes into putting those unique combinations together? Like, do you have a notebook where you're just writing down stuff, or I mean, obviously we know you're sampling and trying things, but where does that inspiration come from?
So a lot of that inspiration coming and then no hours when everybody's sleeping.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's one of the main things. Like sometimes my business partners is like, go to bed. You need to go to bed. You need to sleep.
Yeah.
But like sometimes you got inspired in the middle of the night. You wake up and start like like, and me, like the I put like a lot of the stuff in my head.
Mhm.
So I got like start like thinking about something, and it's like, oh, it's like one of those little windows that you can
Mhm.
feel like
Yeah.
like like a lot of technology in my head.
Mhm.
And I start like putting that stuff together, and then okay, so I start writing. It's like before the goes and I start putting that in a paper, and then I got like big chunk of notes, and my book. Sometimes I have like some of the stuff in here.
Mhm.
um but so for me, I when I create like any dish or like any of that stuff, I never try the final dish. So
Mm.
I
Mm.
just know that it's gonna go really well together, but I don't try it. I don't know if
Do
it's
you
like
give it to somebody else to
yeah,
try? You let other people try it
yeah,
before it
Oh,
goes
yeah,
out? Okay.
yeah. It's not like like I'm being developing like experiment with that stuff
Mhm.
for many days. It's just like I come in the next day, I'm jumping there, start prepping the stuff, boom, this is how it is.
Oh
And then people
wow.
wow.
try, and then it's like, okay, so first thing, so you have to try everything separately, and
Mhm.
Mm.
then after that, so
Put
just
it
try
all
it all
together.
together, and then see what do you think. And
Mm.
at some point, like everybody is like, that
Yeah.
it's so good, and
Mhm.
then it's just like kind of like a big smile. It's like
It's
yes.
so interesting to hear from each chef that I've had on here. Everyone has a different process and a thought process of how they put things together, and it's so interesting to hear that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and it was like a lot of people there's like always like, what's your credentials? What do you learn how to cook? Like how you like become a chef? And it's
Hmm.
just like, I don't know. I just like everything, like start working in the kitchen, and like I think like so many chefs that I've been working with, kind of take a little bit of like
Mhm.
their little special
Hmm.
powers, kind of like stealing some a little bit.
Yeah.
Start introducing some of that, and the way that I see like food, and like now kind of like developing a little bit more for drinks.
Mhm.
Like like seeing that
Hmm.
keeps me excited, and like having or dinners coming up, all the parent dinners that we do.
Yeah.
Those are special places where I can experiment like some of that food, and
Mhm.
then from there, so they go to the regular menu.
Right.
Mm.
So both of you are in very demanding roles, with you having a brand, a chain, not a chain, but different umbrellas under the overarching Troublemakers, and you working full time and running a bar. How do you all stay motivated? And how do you balance your lives in such a demanding industry?
Ooh, I get this question a lot. I really don't. It's always hard for me to answer that question, and I answer it almost the same every time. But sometimes there's other things that'll pop up, like, okay, this is what I also do. But I think the biggest thing for me, I'm not the most organized person.
Mhm.
You would think I would be because I'm a Virgo, but I'm not. I'm not the most organized. Um, but I live by my calendar. If I don't have it in my, like, I have a old school planner. I like planners, so I
Just started using the planner.
yep, I do planners, and I also I color code all of my things. So there's different things for the chamber. It's one color. Brownstone is another color,
Mhm.
and then my meetings, social stuff, like
Mhm.
those are all different colors for me. And then I also do it in my phone. So if I really don't see it in my phone, it's not
Not
happening.
happening yet.
I'm not, and if I didn't put it in there, 9 times out of 10 I'll forget.
Right.
But I had to learn that balance is what you make it. I used to think that balance meant like everything had to be even and it really had to make sense. Like it had to make sense to me and everybody else.
Mhm.
But I've learned over time that balance is really just what you make it
Right.
and how you choose to prioritize all of the things. There's no real like recipe for balancing like step by step what you do. But also there's no like time limit on or capacity for how much you can do. It's
Mm.
really just all about how you choose to prioritize and how you choose to balance.
Right.
So if I decided that while I'm working my full-time job and I'm working and running Brownstone that I wanted to start another business, I'm probably going to do it.
Mhm.
And I'm just going to figure it out and make the time. Now, everybody else might look at me and say, Johnny, you crazy. But I'm just going to be like, I figure it out.
Mhm.
And then there are times where you just have to figure out when to pause for yourself. So that can look like anything. But you figure out what self-care looks like for you.
Mhm.
And then you kind of just do what makes sense. Like when I have downtime, um, which is almost never, but when I have
When
downtime,
you create your
yep, when
downtime.
I create it, I do nothing. And I used to feel really bad for doing nothing.
Mhm.
And then I had to understand that it's okay to do nothing and it's okay to be still
Yeah.
because that's how you recharge. Because if you don't allow yourself to recharge, then you are never going to be full enough to fill other people's cups.
Right.
And so for me, that could be just, and I don't really like put my phone on do not disturb, but
Mhm.
it stays on vibrate.
Mine.
Um,
Mine stays on vibrate and do not disturb.
I don't really do not disturb because I just never know what's gonna
Yeah,
happen,
yeah, yeah.
and so I just keep it on vibrate.
Yeah.
But I'll do that if I do have an off day. I don't tell people. I
Mhm.
just if I'm off, I'm off,
Mhm.
and I won't tell people I'm off. If I know I'm not gonna show up to the bar one day, I don't really tell people I'm not showing up to the bar. I just don't show up. If I know I'm off from both jobs, I'm not telling anybody anything. I'm gonna just let people think I'm working.
I'm
Exactly.
working.
Yep, but I'm really probably at home,
Yeah.
binge watching a show or watching a movie that I've seen already 5,000 times.
Yeah.
So I mean, for me, I think I I've learned to prioritize,
Mhm.
and I live by my phone and my calendar
Yeah.
because if I don't, it's not happening.
True that. What about you, Chef?
Well, for me, it's a little bit like more complicated. I have kids.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I
um,
don't have a family, so
Yeah.
I'm single and I'm by myself. So
Right. Right.
but I relied about like everything on my team. Like everybody surrounded me. Kind of helped me around like organize like some of the stuff. The people that work in the kitchen, the my business partners. Like everybody, it's like kind of like put in that thing so to make it that I'm gonna have the day for my kids. That
Mhm.
I see my kids three times a week. Like Sundays I have them all day. But I still bring them like
bring them to
at the
work.
restaurant. I bring
Yeah.
them to work. And like Mondays is another day, and then like kind of like it's another my days off, like kind of like a week because we close in the restaurant on Thursdays. But like like it's always have to trust the people
Yeah.
that are already working for me, and like like it's how kind of try to manage like every single thing, like like everybody like keep texting me. It's like, all right, so you like we have all these applications. It's like, so we have an event this day, so you have I try to manage and communicate with everybody, try to order all the food ready, have try to get ahead of in my game, so that way
Mhm.
I can be able when I need to have off,
Yeah.
I can be able
You
to
can
have
be
off,
off.
and
Mhm.
Mhm.
nobody's like kind of call me. They're pretty cool. My sous chef right now, he's always, you need a day off. You need a day off. Yeah, because
Mhm.
he knows that I'm gonna be yelling at him. He's like, I want you out of the kitchen.
Yeah, I
but
get
but
that too.
but as it's almost like a year, like a babysitting a lot of people in the restaurant,
Mhm.
and it's always like, are you guys have this? Like, let's keep
Mhm.
doing
Mhm.
it,
Mhm.
because like that you already like the things that you need to do, and then you try to
Mhm.
push everybody, but sometimes you have to be like really aware that not everybody can
Yeah, and you know how
really
you
do it.
want things to be done, so you watch and you yeah, I know the struggle.
But like at some point it's like you have to trust them, and you have to like
Mhm.
like, because how like how they can learn, like the
Yeah.
like if they're, and at some point you don't want to keep them, you want them to be successful, and
Mhm.
they're
Mhm.
motivating them to someday they're going to be open their own restaurant. Sometimes
Mhm.
they're going to be like
Mhm.
moving in a different role. It's just like
Mhm.
how you can improve, or make that situation go to that, so they can
Mhm.
be able to be successful in what they do. And I relied on them to like organize my schedules and everything to
Mhm.
be able to have that success, and both places with troublemakers
Mhm.
and travieso and the food truck and
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
and
Oh.
not
your
there yet.
family time, because it's really sad, like sometimes like even like sometimes I have events and the days that I have to see my kids, and then I have to call my ex-wife. It's like, hey, can you watch the kids for me?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like that's a working team,
Shout out to the
Mhm.
village.
and yeah,
Villages are
and yeah,
important.
and my girlfriend is like super supportive, like always being there. Like if I have to do events, there's not gonna be like, why do you have to go? Like, no,
Mhm.
it's like it's just
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's get it
support
done.
is important too.
I think
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
and
think
I'm learning how to delegate. That's not my strong point.
the helps put your mental health, and kind of like a like
Yeah.
that feels you comfortable and
Mhm.
more concentrate on what you're doing. Because
Mhm.
if it's something that's not
Yeah.
like or like be like you're thinking over there, and like you're not concentrating
Mhm.
on the stuff that you try to do. But
Mhm.
it's like it's a win-win for both of us. Like the stuff that you try to do with the
Mhm.
brownstone, like like the stabilize everything that
Mhm.
we would try to do with the business, and kind of like a helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't delegating for me is not my strong point.
Mhm.
I struggle with it, and I think it's because I'm so used to doing everything just in life by
Mhm.
like by
Mhm.
myself. But I have two like amazing bar managers, and um I now that I'm like in ownership, it's really hard to delegate because I need to really understand what's going on
Right.
before I can actually delegate
Mhm.
anything to
Mhm.
anybody. But I have two really amazing bar managers.
Mhm.
So like shout out to Kai and Lewis because
Mhm.
they really do hold the bar down. And sometimes if I show up, they're like, "Why are you here?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
Just came to check on y'all."
Go home, Roger.
Yeah, that's exactly what they say.
I love that. So speaking of that, of delegating, um what has been some of your experiences, like just managing staff and scheduling and that piece? What does that look like? And
Ooh. Ooh. Um, man, so like I said earlier, like leadership is tough.
Mhm.
Especially I think as a woman and as a Black woman, it's
Mhm.
very tough. And then coming behind a man who built um the establishment
Mhm.
and who got so much respect, coming in as a woman behind somebody that was already so great at what they did. It's a lot of pressure.
Mhm.
It's a lot of pressure. And so um trying to find your fitting or your footing in what management looks like for you and what your management style is and how to meet people where they are. You're
Mhm.
dealing with all these different personalities.
Right.
And you're really trying to make sure everybody is okay at all times.
Mhm.
And you're trying to give people what they need, but you're also working to make sure that in the midst of that they're doing what they're supposed to do,
Yeah.
and that they're meeting the expectations. It can be a challenge, and I think it can be it's challenging for me because I I don't know. I think because I came behind
Mhm.
somebody else, so it wasn't just this is mine and this is how I'm building it and this is what I'm doing, but
Right. Right. Right.
I had to come behind somebody else, and so the the team, like I love the team, like they're amazing, like we are one big family, like
Mhm.
we are a family, but in managing people, I think especially as a woman, sometimes it can be interpreted differently.
Mhm.
And if he says take this water bottle and put it over there, and then I go take this water bottle and put it over there,
Mhm.
it's going to be interpreted two different
Yeah.
ways.
Mhm.
um for him it'll be okay, I'll put it over there. For me it'll be oh, like like
Yeah.
it's
Like more of a
it's
negative.
it's a negative, like
Mhm.
there was a negative tone in it,
Mhm.
or I like I was upset, or
Yeah.
I like, and I'm like, that's not,
Yeah.
what it is. So
Yeah.
that's really the challenge. And people don't really talk about those types of things, but
Yeah.
it's really a
It's real.
challenge.
Mhm.
And so just navigating through that, and I'm still very firm in how I run the
Mhm.
business.
Mhm.
And I still wholeheartedly love my staff and I support them 100% in whatever they choose to do.
Mhm.
Um, and so the respect is definitely there, but it's definitely been a transition in, making sure that I'm heard, but also making sure that they feel heard.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, like I'm definitely not perfect. I'm still learning and I'm
Mhm.
still growing.
Mhm.
Um, and they're definitely helping me because they do not bite their tongues whatsoever. They will tell me like, I didn't like this, John, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, all right, we're gonna figure it out.
Right.
So
Which
it's
is great because
definitely,
they're comfortable coming to you and even saying that.
yeah,
Some people will just keep that bottled up.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's definitely a challenge, but um doing the scheduling, so I do a lot of it for like the bar and like our security and
Mhm.
our hookah staff, and then Kai does all of the servers.
Okay.
But a lot of our scheduling is already set.
Okay.
So if even if we rotated and got a new hire,
Mhm.
whatever schedule that they have, 9 times out of 10 is set. So they know that they're working the same shifts every week.
Okay.
Because that just makes life easier.
Right.
Based off of your availability and what you can do, it just
Mhm.
makes life totally easy.
Right.
So that way we're not constantly like overwhelmed and stressing about a
Mhm.
new schedule every week and what
Mhm.
this looks like every week. The bartenders know they work on Tuesdays and
Mhm.
they here every Tuesday. Every other Saturday they work on this Saturday at this time.
Yeah.
So they all know what their their schedules are, and
Mhm.
that also helps them because they're able to get a break,
Yeah,
so they don't experience the burnout.
got you.
Yeah.
Love that. Well, we're coming up on the end of the show. I want to learn a little bit more, Chef Martine. I know you have some events coming up
Yes.
that you that you wanted to talk about, and I want to make sure we get to that. You want to share some of those with us?
Yeah. So coming up. No, we just like we always try to give it something to the community and kind
Hmm.
of try to help the much that we can. I mean, we cannot help everybody, but whatever we could do. So we are so happy to do it. So we have a benefit dinner coming up on March 15. So I have so many events in
That
my
happens
head.
to me too.
But so this benefit dinner, it's they call it Beyond and Beauty for survivors. That's like it's gonna be silent action, live music, um, be- obviously like a wonderful food.
Obviously.
That's the main part.
But so the idea with this dinner, so there's to try to raise some money for kids in Uganda, and we're always working on that. Like last night I was watching a um, show on Netflix with with the Michael Jackson of the make song, the
Hmm.
we
Yeah.
are the world, kind
Hmm.
of like a guy said that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it just it reminded me, and one of the things that a lot of people, they don't have the same opportunities that we have here. But we're gonna try to share some of that stuff. uh, it's just a little bit, but if anybody want be part of these, I mean, we still some tickets available. It's going to be March 15. It's going to be in Travieso. And it's just like just give a little bit to the people in need, and
Hmm.
especially the kids. There, that's our future, and we wanna help.
Yeah. I love
Love
that.
it.
Yep. It's always good to give
And
back.
and our next one.
Keep them coming.
That's good.
Our next one is just like it's James Henry's sons. It's like a bourbon dinner.
Ooh.
I need to be at that
So
one.
that's it's coming next Wednesday. So I'm preparing like 4 course meal for this dinner. So it's gonna be like really nice. Jim Henry is
This
gonna be
Wednesday.
this coming Wednesday.
Oh,
Yeah.
you
Oh.
said next.
He-
It's the 6th.
This yeah. Yeah. So like it's always like these dinners is like really nice because they kind of talk about the how the process, how they make the bourbon, how they get their inspirations. I talk about the food, and can share like with the people that come in and attend the dinner. Really nice experience. You get like raffles, like some of the stuff that you can take home.
Hmm.
Jay Henry is gonna be like signing bottles too.
Oh,
Okay.
that's cool.
So hopefully there's gonna be like a really nice. We still some tickets available for next Wednesday. Like if you guys interested, you can go on the website Travieso Light Diffusion.
Is it on there now on social?
And social media too. It's
Yep.
on Instagram and Facebook.
I love it. So I have to ask, I want to know like what's a fun fact or industry secret that most people wouldn't know, maybe something that goes on behind the scenes or just anything come to mind?
Hmm. Fun fact, industry
Fun fact.
secrets.
Or you can just hit us with a piece of advice.
I think a fun fact, we have 3 staff that have been there since Brownstone opened.
Oh wow.
Well, no, I take that back. Five staff that have been there since Brownstone first started.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yep, and they're
I
still
love that.
there.
And how
holding
large
down
is
the
your
fort.
staff now?
Ooh, it's about 29,
Okay.
29 staff.
Okay.
That's a big stuff.
That is.
Yeah,
I didn't real.
yeah, 29 staff. So that includes the DJs because we have 6 DJs
Hmm.
that DJ throughout the week, and they all have their own nights.
Okay.
And then we have 3 kitchen staff, and then everybody else is bar servers, hookah, and security.
Okay.
Yep.
What you got? Fun fact, secret.
Fun facts. I think like the main thing, and I think the secret for every like kitchen or establishment, restaurant, I think it's like 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 everybody when we like now like seeing the stuff like in a different way as an ownership, try to make that as a family, like the make everybody so comfortable when they come in to work. There's their safe space. Sometimes a lot of people, they come in with a lot of struggles outside from
Mm-hmm.
work, and then we try they make it like like the science, right when you walking in, good morning, hey,
Right.
how are you, like making right away like that that vibe,
Mm-hmm.
the when people come in,
Yeah.
just right away, if you see like start noticing like something like different, like I have a lot of uh being a foster dad, kind of like I learn a lot of that things and the signs when you see people, they feel sad or they feel, right away, pull them
Mhm.
out the side. Let's
Mm-hmm.
have the talk, let's see how
Mhm.
we can work something else, or we how we can approach that.
Mm-hmm.
Have that communication and that strong leadership with everybody. I think
Yeah.
like it helps a
Yeah.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, family. Creating a family culture with the staff is important.
yeah,
Yeah.
And we are definitely our staff is just like theirs. We're one big family.
Mhm.
We probably talk to each other and see each other more than we see our own families.
Right.
So we're definitely very close. And anybody that we bring in that's new, we make it very clear that we are a tight knit
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's important for the culture.
Yeah. I love that.
yeah.
This was so great. Thank
No,
y'all.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right. So remind everybody where can we find you?
Oh, you can find me. I'm on walk shop now. No, Travieso Latin Fusion. We're located at 314 West Main Street in Waukesha.
You
Uh,
sure?
hmm? See, now I got nervous. See, now?
You got it. You got
Yeah,
it. Yeah, 314 West Main Street. You
see?
got it.
See, you good.
Let me think about it a little bit. Yeah, so we open 6 days a week, Tuesday through Sunday. So we have brunch on the weekends, and then like if you guys want to try like a unforgettable experience with food and get adventures, come and try Travieso in Waukesha.
All right. Jana?
Brownstone Social Lounge is located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 524 North Water Street. We're open Tuesday through Sunday. We are closed on Mondays. And then we also have all day happy hour on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And then happy hour on Thursday through Sunday from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m.
All right. Well, thank y'all for tuning into Flavor Fix. Again, I'm your host, Samantha Starr. You can follow some of my foodie journey, even though I'm inconsistent with posting, but Samantha Starr events on Instagram and Facebook. And we will see y'all next week.